this weathered post. Every evening here, sacred hold so dear. What we hold so dear, my nose. These colors don't run, they fly forever free. My heart beats as one with all I believe, with all I believe. Still tall and proud, we'll stand our ground. Still tall and proud, we're standing now. Father taught me well, Mother showed me how. Time will always tell what we're fighting for. On my knees I pray for the path ahead, for the price we pay, for the words we say. These colors don't run, they fly forever free. My heart beats as one with all I believe, with all I believe. Take the Bill of Rights, hold it to your chest, guard it with your life, put it to the test. Red, white, and blue, streaming in the wind. Everything that's true lives deep within our souls.
Oh, welcome to the bill. I'm back. I got something really interesting to show you. I found it this morning. I thought it was pretty interesting. It speaks a lot of good words. I mean, really truth words. Um, I'm not going to interrupt very much. I'm just going to let it play through because they do all the talking and they're speaking from my heart, probably from your heart. So this is Take the Bill. Welcome to our channel where we take the bill and we take it as is. Okay. I'd appreciate any comments on the video if you have any tips or concerns or anything else. If you just want to write me, if you want to confess or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Okay. My name is Bill. I am a minister, so if you do want to confess, you can. I won't tell anybody. You have my word on it as a minister. So let's get down to it. I'm just going to switch pictures over here and let's hope that everything runs pretty smooth. I was having problems earlier. I've had to remake this video like 3 times already because it just wasn't working out. I had too much running. So let's get down to it. Go ahead and play.
Self-proclaimed leftist, and she schooled Bill Maher on Trump's tariffs.
The reason people want to go back to the 70s is in the 70s, the largest share of our GDP was in the middle class. And that was not separate from the fact that 25% of our economy was in manufacturing. Our economy was an upward funnel of wealth, and the largest share, which used to be in manufacturing, which gave a lot of working class people a middle class standard of living, now the largest share is in real estate and finance. That manufacturing is still being done. It's just being done in other countries. It is still
For wages we will not
That's
work
exactly right. You're right, Bill. That's what the tariffs are for. They are to make American workers more competitive in the global market. Why are we
What they
accepting
laugh for?
that there should be a race to the bottom? You know, China, what is its competitive advantage over us? It's that it pays slave wages. Why should we accept that? They're still manufacturing our PPE, our pharmaceuticals, our cars. They're making all that stuff. Trump says there are 5 industries that we cannot have any kind of national security without having a stake in them. Pharmaceuticals, lumber, steel, aluminum, and I forget what the 5th one was. But these are really important that we have a stake in the manufacturing of the things that we need as a nation, so that when China decides that it wants to go to war against us, we're not relying on them for steel and aluminum in order to fight them.
Okay, well, at least that's an answer.
At least that's an answer. She explained that better than anybody I've ever seen explaining it. And I love when I see people from the left talking sense and not letting politics get in the way of admitting that something is actually a good idea.
Exactly.
One thing I
This
feel like we
is
don't talk about enough recently is just how
very true.
awesome it is that so many people are waking up, and I include myself in that, just realizing that the mainstream narrative we've been taught isn't necessarily true. And I just want to enjoy that today. I guess somebody was trying to trip this man up when they asked him, when
This
was
is good.
America great? But I don't think they were ready for his answer.
She purposely wouldn't exactly give me a chance to answer. She was trying to, let's say, spark an emotional response by what she was talking about was slavery. Because I guess she feels like, well, since I'm black, I have to relate to slavery, and that's got to be a hot button issue. Never mind the fact that I've never been a slave, don't know anyone, and I'm not a slave, of course. She asked me the question, on my hat, when was America great? I answered it like this. America has been great from the very start, because this nation was founded on the principles of freeing us from tyranny. Okay, there were slaves and so forth, but there were a lot of people of all colors, let's say white, in this nation that did not feel like that was correct. And this nation from that time has been moving out of tyranny, from bondage in one way or another, whether it be from Britain or whether it be from slavery as a whole. In case she doesn't know, there was a civil war. And in part, I say in part, a whole lot of white people, if you look at history, died because they wanted this nation and people like myself to be free. Because when you talk about
Word.
this country, I do love the country. Because this nation gives you the right to move yourself up out of any poor, bad position that you're in like no other nation. What she's saying about this nation's horrible, basically saying, oh, it's just full of racists, and I should be stupid enough to believe that when I'm sitting right here and see people who are nice of all colors, that do things, work together, and this fool wants to take us back to a time when everyone hates each other.
Racism is not solved with more racism, and it's not solved with blame or hatred. In some ways, humanity is way more beautiful and kind than they actually try to make it out to be. So this one isn't quite people waking up as much as it is just people working together. This pharmacy owner has been repeatedly posting videos pointing out ways that Doge can save money for the government.
I heard Elon and the Doge team started looking at Medicare, and I found something for them. This medication is pirfenidone. Medicare filled it 85,000 times in 2022 at an average cost of $8,000 per prescription. They spent $680 million on that one drug in just 1 year. However, at my pharmacy, which is a cost-plus pharmacy, meaning we don't take insurance, that same prescription would only cost $200. If we filled all 85,000 prescriptions, it would cost $17 million total. That means Medicare is overpaying by $663 million every year. How do they do that? Well, Medicare contracts with pharmacy benefits managers to tell them how much they should be paying for medications. The problem is, the pharmacy benefits manager gets paid a percentage of the cost. That means the higher the price, the higher their cut. They aren't incentivized to lower the cost, they're incentivized to raise the cost, and they are not shy about it. So, it's an easy solution for the Doge team. Cancel the PBM contracts and bring the actual costs back into the equation instead of those nonsense made-up prices that the PBMs use.
Firstly, that is absolutely
come on,
crazy
Doge.
that is happening. This guy probably deserves a commission for pointing this one out, doesn't he? But I absolutely love that we live in a world where people can go online, post to social media, and if what they're posting is actually sensible and common sense, it will get lifted by the community and end up being heard by people in the White House, and then they'll work on it. I I love that. I can't explain. Like, there's so much crap in the news that it's easy to focus on the bad things and the chaos, but there are so many incredible things happening right now. One of the greatest shames of people buying into the fear mongering is that they're actually missing out on all of the celebrating. For example, while one group of people is celebrating and rejoicing over this, the other side is doing this right now. It's just kind of like, come on, this is a lot nicer. This is definitely a lot nicer. Something similar happened with this guy, Terrence Williams. He posted on X saying that he wanted an end to the BOI rule. He got enough traction on the post, and the next day, the Treasury Department announced they will not be enforcing fines and penalties associated with BOI.
I was begging Elon to
Shout out to
please talk to
Terrence.
Donald Trump, to talk to President Trump about this stupid BOI crap. Guess what Elon did? Elon didn't just say he was going to look into it. He did it the next day. A day later.
I love it. He just replies, I can look into it, and then the next day it's done. Like, come on, that's awesome.
Donald Trump has just removed the T from LGBT on all the government
Oh,
websites.
poor baby.
I don't even know what to say.
It's okay if you don't know what to say, because I do. See, these are orientations. This is who you're attracted to, but these are identities. This is how you perceive yourself, as well as how you wish for others to perceive you. Then what happened was these two groups just got smooshed together, even though they're not the same thing. And even though they never belonged together to begin with, we were doing pretty well until the extremist activism started. And now the extremists on the left have inspired the extremists on the right to begin attempting to overturn gay marriage. So thank you for that. If you didn't know about that, yes, it is true. And shall this continue progressing? Like, if you think for 1 second that I will hold back because it's my party, you got me all the way messed up. So while y'all are mad that the government removed the T from the website, the rest of us are mad about your actions over the last 4 years that have compromised the entire community.
She's so right. I mean, you have to figure out where is the best place to direct my anger in order to find a solution to this. This person's comment summarizes it pretty well. They say it went from we just want to be able to get married to let this man into the bathroom with your daughter real effing quick. Of course, in a video celebrating common sense and logic, I had to include Marco Rubio because he gives some very good logical answers to things.
Do you trust Putin? I think it's an irrelevant question. I think in foreign policy, it's not about trusting, it's about action. It's about things that you do. So in the end, on something like this, you can't just say you want peace, you have to do peace. And that's true for both sides in any conflict.
I love that. You can't just say you want peace, you have to do peace. EU leaders could really use that one.
I would just encourage you guys, if we're going to be serious about foreign policy, to sort of navigate away from some of the, this is not a reality show, this is not about personalities, this is very simple. You either do things or you don't. There are things you are doing and things you're not doing. And that's what foreign policy is driven by, and that's how our decisions should be driven by. Unfortunately, in foreign policy, oftentimes you will have to work with, I'm not talking about President Putin in particular, I'm talking about generally, you will have to work with people you don't like in foreign policy. And oftentimes you will have disagreements with people you like. Sometimes you will have to figure out how to work together with nations that are not aligned with you on most issues. And in some other cases, you may find yourself unaligned on an issue with a nation that you work with very closely on a bunch of other things. But foreign policy is about nation states pursuing what they have interpreted to be in their national interest, and balancing that is what the art of diplomacy and the work of foreign policy is all about. And so we need to sort of be mature and open-eyed and realistic without losing our idealism, without losing, what we hope the world will look like and want to shape it and be a part of. But by the same token, we have to make pragmatic decisions every single day, and that's not true today. That's always been true.
What I love is he's not doing fear-mongering. He's not trying to incite emotion. He's just being logical about it and being fair about it, and he just wants diplomacy.
What do you think of the Black Lives Matter movement? Okay, I know you're gonna clip me, and that's fine, but I hate it. I hate the Black Lives Matter movement, but this is the reason why. Because I didn't like the fact that they kind of rallied behind, when you look at his record, he broke into women's houses and was choking them out and shit, pulling knives at them and robbing them and stuff. So I don't agree with that. I think that the most effective thing that us as black people, I hate the word black people, but black people have ever had was boycotting. And I don't think that looting or any of that stuff works. I don't like Black Lives Matter also because as far as my community, I'm not talking to you for a second, sir. I'm talking to my community. If they are to watch me, you can hate me in the comments, whatever. But I feel like there are so many more pressing matters than police violence. We need to get our families back together. We need to have the fathers back in the household. We need to like start worrying about our people and what we got going on and stuff. And that doesn't mean like separating from everybody else or hating anyone else. It just means that we need to like kind of focus on our things and stop the hate, because we were never people of hate. Even when I am talking a lot, and excuse me, but even when slavery was happening and we had whips on our backs and feet on our necks, we were loving people, and that's what we need to be. We need to kill them with love and kill them with success, if anything, and remember God and get back to Him. But past that, like I didn't like the movement, because can I just say one last story about Black Lives Matter? I was out here in the streets and Black Lives Matter, and I passed by the rally. It was in Beverly Hills, the one I saw, and it was like a gang of white people. I was like, I don't know, I just don't feel like Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey and them would have loved that movement out here. So that's all I gotta say about Black Lives Matter. Of course Black Lives Matter, of course that's a true thing, but I don't like the movement. I don't like the fact that it was funded by radical lesbians, Marxists. I don't like none of that stuff, because that doesn't have anything in our best interest, and it was funded by a white dude, George Soros, so I don't like any of that stuff. Yeah.
What really struck me about this video is just how apologetic he was. There was a couple of times where he apologized for talking too much or for talking about the subject at all, and he really has nothing to apologize for. He's just sharing what he really believes. I can relate to this, and I'm sure many people can, because we've been taught to really fear telling the truth about what we think and what we feel because it's not politically correct. But that's a way of controlling people, and he had so many good points to make. So yeah, we need to do more of that.
So reportedly, you guys, our president just had the Black Lives Matter mural removed from Washington, D.C. And I just want to say thank you, President Trump, for having that divisive bullshit removed, because it did not do anything for Black lives, okay? It helped the colors of the rainbow. We don't need any paint to let us know that our lives matter. We don't need them putting on the basketball court. We don't need them putting anything on the football field. We don't need to see headbands, and we don't need to see statues of Confederate people torn down. What we want is policies that are going to actually help our lives to be improved, because we already know that our lives matter. We were created by the one and only true living God. And for those that need paint and a statue to remind you that your lives matter, may I suggest that you also see a psychiatrist to remind you that your brain does matter as well.
People don't want to watch a party that seems to actually need racism to continue in order for it to thrive and survive. People don't want this focus on division anymore. They just want to see their lives improve. People are also waking up to the fact that we're so powerful together that maybe there's actual incentive to keep people divided in the way that they have done.
I began to question, why do only white countries have the moral obligation to live in this experimental diversity? I began to question why Americans living in the land of the free were forbidden the freedom of association. I began to question why the same groups of people that benefit from our country's altruism are allowed to collectivize within our borders in peace, yet any semblance of white collectivism is considered a form of supremacy. I began to question, why do I have to morally justify the continuation of my people?
I don't.
I am no longer a civic nationalist. I'm no longer a civic nationalist because demographics matter. I'm no longer a civic nationalist because in our majority white country, it is considered controversial just to say it's okay to be white. And I'm no longer a civic nationalist because I won't stand by as whites become minorities in their own homelands just so that I can selfishly claim at the end of it all, at least I was an individualist. And I have a dream that one day whites will be equally permitted to live in their own countries as others do. I am no longer a civic nationalist, and I'm not sorry about it.
That is
Amen.
crazy to hear her say that kind of stuff. Reflecting on your own beliefs and reflecting on the things you see around you is so important to do.
On this episode of Your Dumbass is Still Mad at Me, you find out that Act Blue, the money laundering organization for the fucking left, created and funded these Black Lives Matter organizations. Let me not say created, because they stole that from a black man that was killed in his fucking car. So then they're going to fund these organizations to go and have them burn down the fucking country. People died behind this shit. But Act Blue funded Black Lives Matter knowing that they was going to cause fucking chaos. And it's out there and it's proven right now. And you mad at me. Little kids died behind that shit. Antigua went into communities and burnt that shit down. And Act Blue paid for it. And took that money and then started to give the money to the same dirty-ass politicians that was telling these people to go into these communities and fuck it up in the first place. And you're mad at me. I'm not a black Democrat. I didn't sit there for fucking decades and watch them punish black people and do nothing about it, so as long as I got paid. So it's time you stop being mad at me and start being mad at your fucking self.
Once again, it's just a great example of like, yeah, you can feel anger, but think about where to direct that anger that's actually going to give you long-term beneficial solutions. Before we look at the last video, I just wanted to go through a couple of these amazing messages that people posted online. They basically posted about their experience of waking up. Stephanie Tyler said, I was a lifelong Democrat, voted Obama, Clinton, Biden. I spent most of my life on the left, fully convinced that the right was evil, that Republicans were selfish and racist, and that leaving the party was basically selling your soul. So it's funny when libs now tell me, you don't understand the left. Like, bro, I didn't just understand it, I lived it, I defended it, I believed in it, I was all in. I held on for a long time because I was so brainwashed into thinking the right was this monstrous force that wanted to burn the world down. But eventually, reality cracked through the narrative, and once I really saw it, I couldn't unsee it. Yes, I can relate. What really stands out to me now is how ashamed the left made me feel about being American, kind of in the same way they teach white people to feel guilty for things they had no part in. It's a worldview built on guilt, on self-loathing, on the idea that success, pride, and strength are all somehow bad. But the irony is, I've never felt more patriotic in my life, never felt more connected to the actual values this country was built on: freedom, self-reliance, resilience. I didn't leave the left because I changed, I left because they did. So when people tell me I don't understand the left, I have to laugh because I probably understand it better than they do. I know exactly what I walked away from. Can any of you guys out there relate to this? I think there's a lot of people who probably can. This next message was
Must be
from a
hard.
doctor. This got 52.5 million views. I was a lifelong Democrat. I thought most conservatives were ignorant or evil or lying. I believed almost everything written in the New York Times, the New Republic, and the Atlantic. I was horrified when conservatives criticized the authorities. Every criticism I saw, I thought all of it was motivated by animus, resentment, self-interest, or ignorance. Whatever truth there might have been in the criticism, I saw as a mere half-truth, an exploitation of this or that cherry-picked fact being weaponized. Why did I see it in terms of weaponization? Because I was biased. I saw liberal establishment institutions and figures as fundamentally good, so all criticism of them was automatically interpreted as being in bad faith. That's a really important point because I think a lot of the division comes from whether or not you trust the establishment. Didn't the critics know that these institutions or figures were fundamentally good? If they didn't, they were ignorant. If they did, they were evil. It was that simple. This meant that any legitimate criticisms would just be dismissed, as if bouncing off of an impenetrable, bulletproof shield. This all changed once I started writing about the pandemic. Soon people started talking about me the way I once thought about conservatives. This led to a complete identity collapse as I came to understand that my old worldview was hateful and ignorant, that I hadn't understood what I had been judging. I've noticed this a lot with people who are very anti-Trump or anti-conservative. They're filled with so much anger and bitterness, and the things they come out with are actually often quite shocking. And it's just kind of ironic because the reason they claim they hate Trump or conservatives is because they see them as the party of hate. And it's like, but do you not see yourself what you are acting like, you know? I cannot forget the hearing that led to my dismissal from medical school a year after I started writing. During the hearing, people talked about me as if I wasn't human. My behavior was interpreted in the worst possible light. Complete fabrications were created. Nobody was concerned with the truth, only horrified at my apparent unprofessional behavior, which was really a mirror of their unprofessional behavior directed at me. They structured the hearing to make it virtually impossible for me to speak and explain that what was being said was a lie. And nobody seemed to have any problem with this. Why? Because I was bad. If I am bad, then every mistreatment and every violation of the school's own policies became justified. A person who is bad does not deserve any rights, they only deserve punishment. But the thing I remember most was the allusions to my social media activity. They said Kevin is driven by resentment from his childhood. I wasn't. I was on good terms with my parents. They alleged that I needed psychotherapy to deal with this trauma. It was a completely fake story that they had constructed about me, to demean me, to marginalize me, to try to explain the views I had expressed, that something terribly wrong had happened during the pandemic. They couldn't imagine that I might have legitimate points, so they reduced me to the same kinds of psychological caricatures that I once reduced conservatives to in my own mind. When I was dismissed, I was broken, but I had help from friends who helped me understand what happened, and I came to realize that a hysteria had overtaken the left. I spent a lot of time reading about show trials, about witch trials, and so on. I also connected with people who had experienced similar things and came to realize that something similar had happened to hundreds of physicians around the country. My story wasn't unique, it was all the same story over and over again. I cannot believe the person I once was. I cannot believe that I could exist like that. I still don't understand how I could be like that, or how millions of people in this country could continue being like that. It disturbs me greatly. One thing I know is that whatever this thing is that is driving people crazy needs to be destroyed. It is hostile to civilization and to our humanity. It causes us to dehumanize each other and try to destroy each other. It is the very same monstrous thing that I once attributed to conservatives, but it had been inside me, and I could now see it inside others. This is something I still grapple with. I have so much respect for him, for standing up for what he knew was right in his heart, even though there were such huge consequences for him. Doctors like him during the pandemic were unbelievably important. There's no words to describe how important they were. So I have the utmost respect for him. Let's finish with this guy, grand old Evan. He puts it very well.
As someone who used to despise Trump, as a former Democrat and a gay person, I used to think Trump was like one of the worst people on earth, if not the worst person on earth. But I can assure you that it's in your best interest, if you still hate the guy, to consider that maybe you've been misled. Maybe there's a reason why so many black, Latino, Asian, gay people support the guy. Why so many former Democrats like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK have moved over to the Trump camp. Maybe he's not this racist, homophobic, right-wing extremist. Maybe he's actually a pretty moderate guy with a unifying, common sense set
Yes.
of beliefs.
Yes,
It
very much
feels like a
so.
lot of people don't actually want the country to unite because it would involve admitting that they were wrong about Trump.
Yep.
But I can assure you, as a former Democrat, that admitting you were wrong is not going to be this terrible process because the MAGA movement, believe it or not, is very accepting. It's very friendly. They will welcome you with open arms. It's in your best interest to at least consider because we'll be celebrating. You're welcome to join us, or you're welcome to continue being in a state of negative, existential, crisis level delusion.
What do you guys think? Do you agree with him? I personally think he's spot on, but I'm looking forward to hearing your guys' thoughts, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
So there you have it. I mean, couldn't have said it better myself on a lot of topics. You know, okay, good. She didn't say anything about the rogue judges. Excuse me. That are taking over the whole country, which Chuck Schumacher already admitted that he's done. Putting in the 230 some judges, or how many, 200 plus judges, just to fight Trump. They're left wing radical judges, and they're probably a majority of them are all in this private club that Justice Roberts has to be a part of. I'm going to try to bring a video out on that too. But right now, I would just like to have a shout out to Emily Purple. Go visit her channel. She has a lot of really good content. I like watching her. So, also a shout out to Terrence and a shout out to Van Hall from the LFR family. Uh, I hope if you see this, you like it. Yeah, well, things are going pretty honky dory right now. I'm feeling pretty good. Um, was in a group call and got a little bit of motivation towards just doing videos and doing them the right way. Well, I'm working on getting 3,000 subscribers, and a shout out to all my subscribers that I've got right now, which was about 2 hours ago, 9. But at least I'm getting some, and I'm hoping it'll climb once my content improves. Um, I hope you all have a blessed day. God bless you all. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. It would help me mega. Bye.